Hello everyone, my name is Bogdan and welcome back to another guide. Today I'm going to be covering one of my favorite and one of the strongest mid laners at the moment. Behold, Zed.
The unseen blade is the deadliest.
In the recent patch 8.4, Zed got adjusted, as Riot likes to say, because they're too afraid to admit that they actually buffed Zed again, but I'll talk about the buffs later. For those who are new to the game, Zed is an extremely mobile, high burst damage, and extremely high outplay potential assassin. Zed is a little shitty early game, thrives mid game, and falls off late, like most assassins. However, getting fed early will almost guarantee you the win. Zed is one of those champions on your game that is either a one trick with 2.2 million mastery points, or an LL stylish wannabe who does this. If you want to be the best ZNA, you probably should dream of something more realistic. However, keep watching. With some work and dedication, your Zed will be at least gold tier. As always, let's start off with Zed's pros and things that make playing him miserable, because Zed doesn't have cons, he just has bad teammates. Pros: Zed is extremely mobile, has high damage, outplay potential, and getting him to Mastery 7 gets you the right to spam it 24/7. Zed is really easy to CS with, even if he's under tower, and his lane trading is amazing, assuming you can hit both Qs. Zed's cons are quite simple. Just like many assassins, there's two ways to play him. Casual players who know basic combos and trick, and very skilled players with a variety of skills up their sleeves. Well, the gap between those two is extremely large for Zed, meaning he has a high skill gap and a steep learning curve. Next, Zed is easily countered by stuns and snares, especially as you see champions like Malzahar, Leona, and Lissandra. Zed does fall off late game, is pokeable in lane, and it can be easily countered by a cheap item, Zhonya's Hourglass. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time to go over Zed's abilities. So Zed's Q is a regular shuriken skill shot, does less damage on the second enemy hit. Simple and easy. Zed's W is Zed can throw out a shadow anywhere within a certain distance, so it can be right beside him or it can be farther, right? Zed's shadow uses his abilities at the same time as him, and Zed, if activated W again, he can teleport back to it. Zed's E is that he slashes his shurikens around himself. His shadows, when it slashes shurikens, it slows the target. Zed's ultimate. Zed blinks on an enemy, leaving a shadow where he casted ability. A mark on the enemy applies. After a few seconds, the mark pops and deals 55% of the damage taken while the mark was on them. The ability is really important for Zed because it allows him to maximize his damage and mobility, and is also a really big power spike. So here, you ult the enemy, do as much damage to it as possible before the mark pops, and then the mark pops for a certain amount. Right now, the mark popped for 1850. Zed can also go back to a shadow where he left. An important thing to notice for Zed is that the mark appears not where the enemy is, but where Zed is standing. So, for example, if you ult someone right beside, that's where the shadow will be. However, if you ult someone from the maximum distance, the shadow will appear there, meaning you can blink back to all the way back. Let's quickly talk about Zed's passive. Zed's passive is quite important in his kit, especially because he's an assassin and it allows you to assassinate enemies a lot quicker. So what Zed's passive does is basically every champion that is below 50 health takes additional magic damage equal to 10% of their maximum health. So for example, this target dummy, you're doing damage to him, right? You're doing damage. As soon as he hits below 50% HP, which will be really soon, right now, Zed will do, so for this dummy did 500 extra magic damage because he has 10,000 HP. I'm not sure how that makes sense, but because magic resist, obviously. This enemy dummy has magic resist, but anyways, the reason why this is important is because it allows Zed to make his combo really effective. So this Karthus probably won't survive mine, but okay. Say for example, if I sell some of my items, right, some of my damage items, so the Karthus could survive my combo. So if you do WEQ, and then you press W again, this will proc your electrocute, and also you're going to be able to auto-attack the enemy champion for that extra little bit of damage. Okay guys, let's quickly talk about what you should build for Zed. So the build for Zed is quite simple because he has a core. His two core items are Yomu's and Duskblade, which you should be building for basically every game right away. However, if they're full AP or if you're against someone like a Lux, Lissandra, or Malzahar that does heavy magic damage, you should probably build Hex Drinker first item. Next, after you finish these two, go for Merc Treads or Armor Boots, whichever one you prefer, based on their team comp. After those three items, you want to get Lord Dominic's Regards because it penetrates a lot of armor and it allows you to do almost true damage with your combos. After that, build Death Stance and either finish your Maw, uh, Guardian Angel, or Guardian Angel. The reason why you get Death Stance is because it provides some of the most damage in game per item, and it gives you the passive of healing for 30% of any damage done, and the fact that you reduce burst damage, which is really good. Because with Zed, with Death Stance, the runes, and Red Pot, you can easily heal for 1500 damage, 1500 health from one combo. After that, these are some of the items that you can build as Guardian Angel, Sterex Gauge, and Maw of Malmorius. Maw for a lot of AP damage, Sterex Gauge is from a lot of burst, and obviously Guardian Angel if you want to keep living longer. So this is an example of your full build, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The rune page for Zed is also quite simple just because he has only one rune page possible and there are no other ones so far. So Electrocute is really great for Zed because it's easily procced with your WEQ or 2 autos and an E, right? Any of these are really possible. Cheap Shot is good if you're against someone who's not going to be able to heal any of your damage, and someone that is, for example, a melee assassin like Fizz, who's going to be able to take your burst right away. Taste of Blood is good against someone who pokes, like Lux, for example, or Malzahar. Sudden Impact is good against someone who will be building armor or magic resist. Obviously, in this case, you're someone who's going to be building armor. I like to take Eyeball Collection. I don't know, it's my favorite one. I don't really take the other ones for any. I don't take Ghost Poro or Zombie Word. I don't know, I just don't like them at all. Now, these are a little bit tricky because they're all good except for Indigenous Hunter, but Ravenous Hunter, Relentless Hunter, and Ultimate Hunter are really great for Zed because you're going to be able to get your ultimate quite more often, roam better, and heal off your damage. I really like Ravenous Hunter because I combine it with Death Stance and a Red Pot to drastically heal you. You don't even understand. After your mark procs for like 2000, it heals you for almost 1000 health. Now, these rune pages, your secondary runes, are a little bit different. Usually, I like to take Precision with Triumph and Coup de Grace, just because if you tower dive someone, you go back to your Shadow, you get that little bit of HP to survive the last tower shot. This just increases your damage of your combos. Simple. Offense, these really don't matter. It is your preference. I like to take double damage or cooldown and damage. However, these really don't matter. Except for the magic resist and armor, you take them based on whoever you're going up against. Another possible thing you could take, if they have 3 or more magic damage champions, you can take Nullifying Orb and combine it with Hex Drinker and Merc Treads, and you will really don't take that much damage. And then you could also take either Scorch or Gathering Storm, whichever one you like, or Absolute Focus. That's really it for runes for Zed. They're quite simple, only one rune page possible. Just to mention summoner spells real quick, Flash and Ignite are almost 100% mandatory when you're playing Zed, unless you're playing against heavy CC teams like Lissandra, Malzahar, and maybe Thresh. So the reason why you take Flash and Ignite is because Flash, great outplay potential, dodging skill shots, closing gaps, and running away, and Ignite is just reduction of healing, a lot of damage, and just great kill potential, and potential of in-lane. Alright guys, now that we've talked over the basics of Zed, let me show you some combos that you are probably going to have to learn and use in your kind of Zed gameplay. So, first combo is really easy, regular lane turning combo, WEQ, W auto. So what this does is, I'm going to turn on these real quick, what this does is that your W slows, which makes it easier for you to hit both Qs, then you W again and auto for that extra damage from Zed's passive. Obviously, I'm not going to do half of this dummy's health in one combo, but it will work on an enemy champion. So next thing is your ultimate combo. So for example, you're walking around, right? You're you have your ultimate, right? You would press ultimate on them. If you want to kill someone really fast, you use your W right before them, right beside them. So all your abilities hit. So you use your W right here, E and Q. That's if you know that they're gonna fight you and they're not gonna try to run away. Because if you do that and they just flash, you just wasted all your gap closers and now you are not able to do anything. Right? So you make sure that you know what kind of scenario this is. Obviously, if the target dummy flashes, for example, this way, you can follow up with your W, slow them with EQ, and do all that kind of business. Right, now a little bit for kind of a tricky combo. This is if you're going up against someone with skill shots or someone that has burst damage. So first, and I'm probably going to try to slow this down for you. First you ult, flash away, WEQ, back to your ult. So this does quite a significant amount of damage. That was not my maximum. This can do, I've tried around 5,000 damage. So if you ult, flash away, and then you go back to your ultimate, 4,000 damage, right? I also didn't proc my auto attack, which was kind of bad of me, but I'm pretty sure 4,000 damage will be enough. Now this combo is a little bit, it is a little bit tricky. It is a little bit more advanced, and you might have seen it in some highlights, but it is a really good combo and it is really helpful. Now the third combo is, or the second major combo is if you're around walls. So say there's someone here, or the opposite, there's someone here, right? Someone just walked onto you and you don't know what to do. Throw your shadow over the wall. Hold on, give me a second. Right, throw your shadow over the wall, ult, EQ, W. So shadow over the wall, ult, W, EQ. This will give you 2 E's, 3 Q's if you manage to hit them all, and a safe escape path. So for example, if I'm really low, here, I take a bunch of damage from this turret, and then there's some enemy here, right, that I'm really not trying to fight, right? They're full HP, they just came to lane, I'm dying. W over the wall, W, EQ. If you really want, you can go back to your ultimate shadow and auto attack for that extra little bit of damage, but that's if you still have flash and you're able to get away, because as I said, you're gonna be low. This is what you use in situations when you're low. If you're full HP, you can just press W right beside it. So once again, W to the side, go back to your W right away, because if you wait, they're just gonna finish you. And by the way, that death stance heal is insane. As I was talking about earlier about Zed's healing, right now I do have Ravenous Hunter, but I do not have all my stacks just because there's only one Nidalee on the enemy team, and you know, you can't really get all the stats. But let me just show you. If you go back to the dummy, W over the wall, straight away, land both Qs. See how much I heal just from one combo? Obviously that did do 6,000 damage, but that's just insane. And I don't have all my Ravenous Hunter stacks. A few more important things to mention when it comes to laning with Zed is that, number one, if you put a dummy here, right, if you land your full combo, hold on, if you land your full combo at any levels with no cooldown reduction, you're still going to be able to hit your E twice. So let's say I just came in with a, you know, with a long sword, right, straight into lane, whatever. This is, I'm level 3, right? You're still able to hit your E 2 times. So you do that. Before your shadow runs out, you can hit your E again, and you can go back and auto, right? With, I'm pretty sure, 30% cooldown reduction, or that's already 40. With 30% cooldown reduction and maxed W, you can hit your Q twice. So you do it like that, then E. You're able to proc your E 3 times and your Q twice, right? Which is really good, obviously, but at that time, you're really not going to be laning. Once your E is maxed, you're going to be trying to assassinate enemies, right? So, that's it for this tip. Another great tip for Zed, and it's kind of obvious, but do pay attention where your shadows are and where you ult it and where you place your W, because it can really lead into some nasty situations when you forget or mix up your shadows. And you've probably done this before, or you've seen this before, where you end up ulting them, right? And you put a shadow there, right? And instead of going here, you press your R, and then you end up going back to them, right? So be careful with that. That is really important information, especially if you're low, right? If you're full HP and you're really fed, it probably won't matter, especially if you have Sterak's Gauge and defensive items. But if you don't, keep in mind that. And one last thing when it comes to Zed is that remember that your shadows still stay up for their full duration no matter what happens to you or the shadows. So if there's an enemy right here, right, you ult him, you do your business, right, you're not able to finish them, right? They think they're safe and they start recalling. If your shadow, for example, still stays there, you can still Q them and E them. A lot of players, especially if the shadows are a little bit harder to see or they're not on max settings, they completely forget about them, kind of like Alawi tentacles. So, right, you get away from here, right, you leave your W there, they think they're safe, they survived on 2 HP, you can still press E and Q on them, and they might be able to die. So, that is the last tip. Let's go to the next step. Hey guys, thanks for watching this guide. If you liked it and enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. For more future guides like this, make sure to check out my other Nidalee, Rise, and Oriana guides. Stay tuned for some more. Yes, I've been hearing about regular Rise gameplay, so yes, that will be coming soon, and I promise that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace.